Dun, dun, dun.
We could do a little harmonizing here if you like. The mics are hot.
Yep.
Yes, we know they're hot, guys. We're just being ourselves.
We're just having well, you should hear before we go live.
For you LEOs out there, we're being a bunch of 1073s in here this morning.
Very 1073. Hey, call the van.
I've kind of made mention of the song Monday, Monday a few times to start off a brand new week, right? It's just one of those songs you do. I just don't recall mentioning any songs about Tuesdays. Do y'all remember any song names or anything about does anything come to you? Tuesday.
If they did, I'm not saying anything because I can't get Monday out of my head now.
Well, in doing a deep dive, I looked at Google. Tuesday is mentioned in a number of songs. Ruby Tuesday by the Rolling Stones, Tuesday Afternoon by the Moody Blues, Tuesday's Gone by Leonard Skinner, and there's Tuesday Heartbreak by Stevie Wonder, Love You Till Tuesday by David Bowie, but not after, and Tuesday Morning by the Pogues.
I was going to ask what happens comes Wednesday, but you beat me to it.
Good morning, I'm Rayford Brown.
I'm Chris Marks.
I'm Lee Barrels.
I like to catch people off guard, as best I can, so I find the most trivial trivia.
No, but that's
it's really not trivia. It's just stuff that's rolling around up there. I have questions, and when I'm looking for things and I have questions, I start looking, and it's scary what I find. Such as...
Oh, gosh, here goes the history lesson. Go
on
ahead,
this, the 10th of June, the year was 1692. Do you remember where you were? Did you ever study this? You did, but you don't remember it.
Nope.
Having been found guilty of certain detestable acts called witchcraft and sorceries, Bridget Bishop became the first person to be hanged during the Salem witch trials in the Massachusetts Bay Colony. She was one of 19 who were hanged. A 20th person, a man judged to be a witch, was pressed to death.
Ooh. What?
If you think waterboarding is a torture, listen up. You ready for this one? 81-year-old Giles Corey was deemed to be a witch. He lived in the southwest corner of Salem Village. He stood accused of witchcraft for a while. Well, they held a trial, but he would not plead guilty or not guilty to the charges, as other members of the community had done. He resolved to stand mute in the face of the accusations. 81 years of age. This led the court to apply a bit of pressure, pardon the pun, in a process known as peine forte et dure. It's an old and very fearsome French practice that entailed pressing the accused with weights until he or she agrees to enter a plea. The thought process among some of the people accused of various crimes remains silent, and they can't continue with the trial. That apparently was a thing dating back to the 13th century. If you don't plead guilty or innocent, we can't hold a trial for you. You got to plead one way or the other. So when some people said, oh, there's a little loophole, it was a lawyer, I'm sure, from somewhere. But they said, that's a little loophole. You just don't plead guilty or innocent, and they can't try you. Well, the French came up with the other plan, and that was applied in Salem.
Wait a minute. Is that how they came up with the term French press? Okay.
The courts decided to use a special technique of applying increasing pressure, literally with weights, iron weights to be specific, to persuade the accused of pleading guilty or not. Old Giles was stubborn. He refused to talk. Like others, he would have been placed in a dark chamber, naked, except for a cloth around his waist, and weights were added to the point that the victim could not get up. He was pinned. They were given rancid bread just one day, every other day, and water on the opposite days. A little bit of water one day, a little bit of old rancid bread the other, alternating until they stopped breathing or they could enter a plea. Giles died under the pressure.
The puns in this story killing me.
His wife was also one of those found guilty of being a witch and was among those who were hanged. One other man was among those executed after he was found guilty of witchcraft. Samuel Wardwell was hanged, as were all of the women. 19 women, 2 men were hanged. 19 women and 2 men were executed. All were hanged except Giles.
Wow.
A pound of pressure.
One little straw at a time.
Man, I guess you look back then and people want to argue nowadays on the death penalty, a shooting squad, or a lethal injection. What if those others were on the table? How would you like to go? Or just squeeze me to death?
Hug me, honey.
God,
Can you imagine?
Oh, being hugged to death?
No, I mean,
being squeezed.
and they just kept putting heavier and heavier and more weights, iron weights. I don't know what they use the iron weights for otherwise. Maybe it's just railroad ties. Well, in
Man.
1692, I don't know how many railroads there were, but
This just reminded me. I need to call for my mammogram. God. I mean, I was just thinking about all the pressure on you, and I'm like,
That is the second. Today's the second day in a row I've
you
heard
started
about
this way.
And yesterday's story came from a lady I don't know, other than she wanted Crime Stoppers to come out and do a talk. Then the subject turned to mammograms.
how?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's not funny.
Also known as the big squeeze, right?
Yeah. Thank goodness they've made a lot of advances over the years. I keep forgetting to make my appointment. Hey, it's worth like $20 on my card. On my Blue Cross.
Can I get one for today? Give me $20.
You can go for me.
Blue card?
Yeah, the
Your
Blue
drug card?
No, you know where like
It's a flex card or
Oh,
something.
the flex
Yes.
card. Yeah, I got one.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
one
but-
for over the counter for me.
But mine too. But they'll add you $20 to it if you go get one.
and like your regular doctor's appointment.
What, you want to go?
I'm gonna go get
Why
one.
not? Let's roll.
Like my regular doctor's appointment I had a couple months ago. I get credit for that, so I get so much money put on the
Well,
card.
do I wonder if I get that for visiting Regina last week?
If you've got that type of plan.
I do.
Yeah.
You got it for something.
Well,
I wouldn't find
didn't you
out.
say you get like $87 every quarter or something like that?
$84.
But it's already on the card, right? And you
Yeah.
take that. See, I get the card with the zero balance, but you
have
got to go into
you
the
got to
system.
do stuff, right?
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
but I don't have a problem with that.
I got the 90.
Oh, God, it's going to be
Okay.
one of them. Coming up
Yeah.
at 7:30 this morning,
You
we
should
got
know better.
we got 3rd District Congressman Dr. Greg Murphy going to be joining us.
Yes.
And the young man who handled some of his schedules yesterday called to confirm, and he said, I don't know where y'all going to start. There's so much.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know what you're going to do.
I got one for him. I got one of the very first ones.
Okay.
Is later today, if he's going to be at Fort Bragg
Yes.
for the visit
That's where
of
the
the
president's going to be.
Greg.
You
Yeah,
want to go? You
but-
want to go?
No.
Come on, let's
I
go.
was thinking about going,
What am I
but
going to do with the gun?
I just like the fact that they called it Fort Bragg
Well, it
on
is
the
Fort
news.
Bragg. It has
I know
been
it
named.
is.
Been renamed.
I still think
Renamed.
Reread names.
I think it was genius how they went back to that name.
I think it was.
I think it was all genius.
What's going to happen when the next doofus comes in and he changes it back to something else?
Well, we'll
Well,
rally.
I'd say, I was going to say rally or protest peacefully, but
But see,
I
what
was
they
just
have it
thinking
named now was not after a controversial figure that it was named before. Different first name. So.
Well, you can say that if you want to.
Yeah, well, that's why I say it was genius. One thing Pete did that was right.
Well, speaking
I'm
of,
just not a fan of Pete, but go ahead.
the crap continues in L.A.
Mm-hmm.
President Trump's deployment of California National Guardsmen has really rankled the state's governor.
You think?
The guy who sat on his computer while fires burned cars after car riders fought with police.
The mayor went on vacation.
Mhm.
She ever come off vacation? It all started last Friday when federal troops began arresting illegal aliens. The agents were attacked by mobs of people who didn't want the illegals to be arrested and deported. You got to ask why. I think they just did this to throw a party. The agents were attacked. That in itself screams a problem.
I agree.
Some of the attacks were directed at the feds, and the governor did nothing. So the president called up the governor's National Guard unit. Gotcha. And that really set off the local hoodlums. Dozens of anti-ICE rioters have been arrested already. Trump, in spite of objections from Governor Gavin Newsom, has now ordered some Marines, 500 or 700, don't know how many, from Camp Lejeune into Los Angeles to provide protection for the federal agents. They're not going to be arresting people. They're present to provide security for the agents.
Exactly.
You can bet that the Marines are not jazzed about being deployed into such a mess where they can't really do anything except en masse. And though they won't be arresting people, I hope things don't get out of hand. And I especially hope that none of the good guys are hurt. That's the biggest thing that I will say about the whole deal. Don't hurt our people. Remember that masked man in L.A.?
The one that they were looking for that assaulted.
On video that has been the target of agents since police say he was throwing concrete blocks at police officers in their cars.
Yes.
Well, something worked because the FBI says they now know who he is. AG Pam Bondi released his name last night on some TV program. I don't know what I don't know why you do that. See, I disagree with that. Going to an entertainment show. I don't care if they want to call it news. Going to an entertainment show, it'd be like coming in here and the police chief or the sheriff releases the name of somebody they've been looking for quite some time before they release it to the media. We are not the media, okay? But anyway, the name is out there. The name was released. A massive search is underway for Elpidio Reina, and he's described as armed and dangerous. Go figure.
Yeah.
They got a picture. A former mugshot.
Wow.
Like, that's a surprise.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about when the media, when the police release the name of somebody they're looking for, where do they get the picture of him? From the yearbook? From his driver's license? No, 90% of the time is because he's been there before. I'm just saying.
The jailhouse.
The
jailhouse yearbook.
FBI Director Kash Patel warned Saturday night, if you assault a law enforcement officer, you're going to jail, period.
Yeah.
He added that it doesn't matter where you came from, how you got here, or what cause you claim to represent. If local jurisdictions won't stand behind the men and women who wear the badge, the FBI will, regardless of their jurisdiction. A massive search, it's a federal offense to assault a law enforcement officer, so that's what they're doing. A massive search has been underway since the weekend for this dude. The U.S. Attorney General's office had offered a $50,000 reward. I would have turned him in. My God, I tried to pick somebody out of some folks that I knew, maybe that looked kind of like that. I would have turned him in. 50 grand, you're done, dude.
New boat? Yeah, heck yeah.
Well, that'd be a small portion of our new boat. $50,000 reward for anyone providing the man's identity. Not sure how it actually worked, but something got someone's lips moving in the right direction.
Go ahead. Well, I was just going to say, do you remember? Well, I know you remember 1992. Lots of things happened in 1992, but one in particular happened in Los Angeles.
There was a riot.
There was a riot.
You could ask any question about something that happened in Los Angeles, and I don't care what year it is. I'm going to say there was a riot.
There was a riot.
But this one was
Reginald Denny. Do you remember that?
Yep, I do.
Reginald Denny was attacked by a gang of 4 African-American men and beaten. And then the riots started.
So who was he? Who was Mr. Denny?
He was a truck driver.
And he was caught up in he drove his truck through an intersection, and his worst mistake was they got in front of him, tried to stop him, and he didn't. He stopped.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I got a much bigger weapon than your little old bodies. I will use the cow catcher front of this vehicle, and you might want to move, just like the trains used to do.
So I looked
Wow.
last night just to check on something because of Hakeem Jeffries, who is
Yes.
with many of them saying that Trump is
Overreaching.
and stuff, but he forgets that the governor of New York asked for National Guard for the New York subways.
Yep,
that was fine. It's not fine out in LA. I don't get it.
Well, my thing is when you have a governor and the mayor of the city sitting back on their haunches, not doing anything, and you're watching these police officers, 100 of them line up against 1,000 protesters destroying the city, burning cars,
Urban renewal.
defacing property, and throwing bricks at law enforcement officers. What more do you need to ask for help? Why is it so hard to ask for help?
Well, they're saying they didn't ask for help and they don't want the help. And they don't need the help.
Well,
Yes,
they
do.
don't. They did not need to ask for help. We gave it to them anyway.
Yeah.
No, and I take that back. We did not give it to the citizens of Los
No,
Angeles.
we gave
We
it to
sent
the
people
feds.
there to protect federal property, the courthouse, federal buildings that are owned by the U.S. government, and the federal troops who were there, the law enforcement officers who were there to arrest people legally. That's the whole point. What they did was legal. It's not that they went rogue.
Right.
It's not that it was like some stupid cops going crazy somewhere. This were legal arrests.
Yeah, yesterday they came out on loudspeakers. They had a police department out there in a line. They had sheriff's deputies on the back of trucks with PAs. They were out there notifying the people that were down there in front of the federal building and then down in front of City Hall. They were notifying them that there has been a disperse put out. In other words, you're dispersed now and you need to leave. But do you think these people left?
So the minute you do that, then you have violated the law if you do not disperse.
All they did was just they kept pushing them down and pushing them down. And they were setting off mace, tear gas. They were using the rubber bullets, and they just kept pushing the crowd and pushing the crowd and pushing them back. And I will say they had a lot of police presence because the sheriff's office had brought in other counties also. So they had a lot of presence there. But I'm telling you, even if they surround a block and they push them that way, then they've got to have somebody over there to push them that way. And it's just like these people aren't giving up.
I'm so sorry. You've got a whole bunch of fire trucks there. They got 2.5 inch hoses on fire. They got 2.5 inches. You can't. Have you ever held onto a 2.5 inch fire hose by yourself?
No.
You can't do it.
No.
You ever seen one break loose from people?
Yeah.
From
I've
firefighters?
seen
That takes a bunch of firefighters jumping on top of it to wrestle it down. It's like a charging bull. Now, that pressure coming out, let me explain to you.
It's a lot of
You will
pressure.
not stand up against it. You'll be clean afterwards because they'll blow that dirt off.
a little bit of road rash.
It's kind of like a super powered pressure washer.
Well, when the fire trucks came out Sunday night to put out the remnants of the 5 robo-taxis that had burnt, I was thinking the same thing. They had to wait till the police were able to clear the streets before the fire department could come in. But I was thinking,
Just
man,
go in with that can on
Wow.
top of the fire truck. I cleared that street. That can.
what I would have
You've
loved
seen
to
those things
see.
in action? Holy mackerel.
And I don't want to see people hurt, but you know what? These are people. They're not out there to protest ICE. They're out there to cause mayhem and trouble. That's what they have on their a big part of the group. Now there are some that will get out and demonstrate peacefully. I wish they would take the PAs away from them though, because they're
That's violating the
screaming.
noise ordinance.
And the guy with the drum, the constant drum. Oh,
Wasn't there a time when just police had blowhorns?
yeah, it used to be
That's
they had.
orange.
Yeah,
That was it.
Yeah.
it's like get out of the
That's it.
street.
They're
Nobody
all
come
right
home.
Not everybody. They've gone in reaction to what the police were doing. They escalated themselves to try to say, okay, well, they're out here and all these big bunch of people. We'll get out here. We'll wear helmets. We'll wear masks. We will do this. Some of them wear bulletproof vests, body armor.
Well, you're right there. I mean, they're out there, and I feel so bad for these cops. They're out there in, they're wearing body armor. They're in full
It's
tactical uniform, I mean, long sleeves, and they've got so much around their waist, strapped to their legs, over their shoulders. Some of them can't run. They're carrying so much weight on them.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Okie dokie, I don't have to run. I'm not going to run towards you or after from you. I'm just going to stand there and, you come towards me. And bam.
Well,
that hurts.
We've had protests here in Jacksonville for
Yes.
different things. Sadly, they do it at the Freedom Fountain, but that's neither here nor there. But they're peaceful.
Yes.
There's people standing there with signs.
Yeah, I've never known us for anyone to have a protest that wasn't basically all peaceful here.
Not that I can remember.
Yes.
You know why? Rayford told us yesterday why.
Right.
The two trucks that'll ride around with that.
It can come to that. If
I
necessary.
yeah.
I don't know whether they still have those. I got to check, see if they're on display or something. What if I could borrow one?
I'm gonna tell you,
I could fumigate my garden area with it.
well, that's one thing about it, Raver. We haven't had to really water the gardens for 3 or 4
No.
days now.
Yeah.
Not going to have to for.
Okay, now let's take a quick look at the weather.
Weather.
Moderate to gusty southwesterly winds continuing across the waters through tonight. Boating conditions should be improving by Wednesday. They're not going to get better today. Turns out a friend of mine from Carolina Beach is on a team that's fishing the Big Rock Blue Marlin tournament this week. His team, the boat, is called Excessive. It starts with the letter X as an X-ray and goes Excessive. It's
I'm gonna watch.
It's a 39-foot open fisherman.
Ooh.
A Century boat, I think. 39 foot, got 4 outboard motors on the back. It's an outboard motorboat. 4 big outboard motors on the back. 39 feet's a nice sized boat, but it's a tiny boat compared to some of those big old 80 footers out there. Michael Jordan and Company. That little old boat is powered by those big 4 outboards, but it'll get you on the way back if the water's calm. But going like they need to go to leave the dock to get out to the fishing ground so they can drop their lines over in 1 hour and 38 minutes. Fishing actually officially starts. Lines in the water at 9 o'clock, 0900, y'all. Not before, or you're disqualified. But they'll get the lines in the water. And
So that's similar to golf. Honesty.
Yeah,
you can hook.
How can that
can
be?
hook. No.
well, I've seen some hookers on the course.
Yeah.
Are you talking about rules?
Yeah,
As
rules.
far as-
So it's
okay.
a gentleman's game. It's an honest
Yeah.
game. So
Yep.
if you're out there, however many miles, one is too many for me. But
Well,
when
they
you're out
have to videotape everything too.
there- Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like if they get a blue marlin on hook, they have to videotape every bit of that, bring it in on the boat, everything. And they
if
have
they
to,
bring it on the boat. Some
Yes.
of them they just cut and release.
even the ones that they cut
But
and
they video it,
release,
but
they video it
Yes.
because that's how they get their
Right.
points. They have to prove that,
That
you
they-
know.
What about
It's-
the lines in the
if
water?
that fish is on a 400 pounder, and
Right.
those guys on the boat, they know how big
Mhm.
that fish is when they bring him on board. And if the biggest fish that they got at the scale so far is 402 pounds, the minimum is 400 away.
Right.
If they bring in a 402 pounder, and that's the lead, and he's up there and they measure that thing, well, this is only a 242 pounder, or this is only a 400 pounder. No, they're not going to bring it in because it's
Yeah.
too close to me. Well, they probably will bring it in if they think it's going to be 400.
I remember last year there was one brought in, and I think it was like 396.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, so disappointing.
Disqualified. No points.
It was for the Fabulous Fisherman Prize. It was one of the first brought in, and they were so excited. 396. Oh man!
I was just keying on the lines in the water, not a clock.
Right.
I mean, obviously, no one's out there except you, right?
Oh, there's lots of boats out there.
So they will be
They're like-
viewing.
They're like this, Chris.
You can rest assured that you do something like that, you might be ratted out.
Yeah,
Some of those binoculars up there are.
they're like, we see you.
Small craft advisory remains in effect through tonight. Southwesterly winds 20 to 25 knots with gusts to 30. That's going to be rough fishing out there today. Sea is going to be 5 to 6 feet. Sounds and rivers rough as well. Showers and thunderstorms likely, mainly this morning. Tomorrow, southwesterly winds 10 to 15 coming down, diminishing to 5 to 10 in the afternoon. They're going to start early and they're going to fish hard. Seas 2 to 4 feet. Sounds and rivers a moderate chop, diminishing to a light chop in the afternoon. That's tomorrow. Thursday, I expect every boat entered in that tournament's going to fish tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
They have to take one lay day. I think two lay days.
Two.
They can only fish
days.
4 days of the
Right.
6 days. So Thursday, southwesterly winds 5 to 10 again. That's a great day. Seas only 2 to 3. Sounds and rivers and light chop. The next 2 days, some fish will be brought in.
Oh, I
Because
can't
it
wait.
cover a lot of ground.
I was
Here's what
wait.
occurs there before you do your weather while we're still on the topic. Those get boats tomorrow and probably Thursday as well. In addition to the big rock area,
Right.
there's a lot of really big fish off Cape Hatteras. And those boats, like my friends with 4 outboards on it, they can run 50 miles per hour, some of them. And they will leave early in the morning and they will put that thing in the wind and be gone. And once they hook up, they radio in, I got to hook up. I have fish on board. It is a blue marlin.
Mm-hmm.
We are coming to the scale. It might take him till midnight to get there if
It
necessary.
did one
but
year.
if he's got the fish, even if he's hooked up at the close of the day, was it 3 o'clock?
4 o'clock. No, 3 o'clock
The
lines
line's
up.
out of the water.
3 o'clock.
But if he's hooked up, he's called it in. They have to call it in when they're hooked up.
That's right.
If he's hooked up and he calls it in, I'm hooked up. You can fish that fish until you get that fish on board and then bring him to shore.
That year that it was almost midnight,
Yeah.
that's how long they fought that
Yeah, I know that was
fish.
the one they fought for a long time.
I remember that now. They fought him for hours and hours and hours.
One year, one of the boats that was there, the engines broke down, so they had to be towed in. But that's okay. He had a fish on board.
Yep,
Wow.
yep. Okay.
Okay, local.
All right. Local weather today: a chance of afternoon showers and thunderstorms. Mostly cloudy with a high near 86. Southwest wind 8 to 11 miles per hour with gusts as high as 20. Tonight, a chance of showers and thunderstorms. Mostly cloudy with a low around 72. Wednesday, a chance of showers and thunderstorms. Mostly cloudy with a high near 84. And Thursday, a chance of showers and thunderstorms. Mostly sunny with a high near 88. You were talking about the Big Rock.
Uh-huh.
I watched him yesterday because it's a big thing, and that's probably our congressman call. Yes, that's our congressman calling, so I will just hold the story.
You know, it wasn't just a very few years ago that I was doing a live remote
Yes.
on the boardwalk there, like near the Big Rock tournament.
Right.
Not during the Big Rock tournament, but during a big boat show that they had going on there. And this young man strolled up to me, and I said, looked at him, I said, you're looking kind of familiar. And then I was told who he was. He's a doctor, Dr. Greg Murphy. Good morning, Doc. How are you?
Good morning.
Hey guys, good morning.
Good morning,
Hope
sir.
everybody's doing okay there.
We're doing
hanging in
good.
here.
How are you faring these days? Good Lord.
You need a doctor, Doc.
Yeah.
I need like about 50 doctors. I don't think it's the circus of circus.
Oh,
But
my
always good. Always good. We're blessed.
Dr. Murphy, the 3rd District Congressional Congressman, Congressional Representative for us. We do appreciate what you're doing. And thanks for setting up this time each month so we don't have to try to tag each other and run around the corners and everything.
Excellent.
This works out well for us. Hope it does for you.
Yeah, great. Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all doing this.
And of course, if there's anything that breaks in the meantime, you'll likely be getting calls from us. But
That's all good.
you
That's
can
great.
feel welcome to call us if something's breaking. You don't have to wait for your appointment like you do in our
Yeah.
doctor's office,
And
unless there's an
Those
emergency.
doctors, they keep everybody waiting.
Hey,
Those doctors.
Yeah, well, the times that I've had to go in, they don't keep me waiting because I've had to go in under those bad conditions. So
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Can I give Dr. Murphy, Congressman Dr. Murphy, sir, a kudos to
Oh,
one of your
please
staff
do. Yes.
members, Ray Celeste.
Great.
What a great guy. I called him concerning Wreaths Across America, and he was very accommodating and even sent the information here to North Carolina's person that may be able to help us with that. But he was such a nice, kind gentleman and very just a treasure. You got a treasure there. He was very professional in emails.
I appreciate you saying that. I will pass it on to him. I am very, very blessed with an excellent staff. We're in the customer service business, and I reiterate that. I did that when I ran my surgical office. I said we're in the customer service business,
Mm-hmm.
and our constituents are our customers, and we may not be able to make them all happy because sometimes we just can't do the things that they want. But you treat people with respect, regardless of wherever they're coming from. And I will tell you, sometimes people who call on the phone, it may be a little challenging sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
But we still, that is our goal, that is our directive, and I have a great staff, and I appreciate you saying that.
Well, Congressman, I also want to throw kudos out there to Cody, because Cody's been helping me with something for my granddaughter trying to obtain a visa to go to Greece, and he's been right on it, and he's such a great guy. The local office here in Jacksonville, Cody's great.
He's got a great name. Think about it. And I don't mean Cody.
Oh, Brown. Oh, my God.
Yeah. I mean, good
No,
God.
he's not. He's not related.
Okay.
Yes, he is. We're all related, except the bad ones. Anyway, Dr.
That's right.
You know how that is. Doctor, out there on that other coast, you got some in New York, but out there on that other coast, can't you either, do something to maybe cut them off, set them adrift, let that big part of California leave?
It is just so sad and tragic that people think that defending people who are criminals is the right thing to do. And, I'll go back, and I said this the other day. This rests squarely on Joe Biden's shoulders, or whoever was running this operation. The same thing with Becerra, HHS person who's in charge of immigration and everything. This rests solely on their shoulders, that they are responsible for all of this that's occurred. Now, remember, the summer before January 6th, this was all months, well, not months, but weeks and weeks of burning, looting. People died, and people just remember January 6th, which, by the way, that should not have happened.
Nope.
But so many of the factors that led up to January 6th occurred the summer before. So this is it all over again. And look, I'm glad that Trump said enough of this nonsense. We're going to restore law and order. That's what the good law-abiding citizens of that city and that state want. And so, look, too bad. If you can't control your own people, then the federal government has to. So,
I cannot imagine Newsom. I can't imagine Newsom at all, but I can't imagine Newsom sitting at his keyboard while all those cars were burning. He was playing on Twitter and wherever, X or whatever you call that crap. But he was out there. That's all he was doing during that time.
Well,
every time I saw a report, he was on Twitter.
He's caught between a rock and a hard place because, his far left wants this nonsense. And if he comes out too hard against it, well, there goes his chances. All he cares about is running for president, which I personally believe forget it because of what happened with the summer before. I mean, with all the wildfires and their horrible response to this. California it's a beautiful place, but why the hell would anybody want to live there? That's why so many people have moved out, and that's why they wanted so many illegal immigrants to come in and wanted to be counted in the census so it can help, push the congressional numbers up. No, they're caught between a rock and a hard place, and this is what happened when you have progressive liberal policies.
Well, I'm not sure where it's going to end. I don't want any tragic situations with the bunch of the National Guard guys there and a bunch of Marines showing up. We don't need that. We got other battles to fight in other parts of the world to keep them from coming here. But the problem is we got them here now, and ICE is doing what it can to get rid of them under orders.
As they should.
Judicial legislation, it's there. The law is there. Do you just not enforce it? Okay, so you don't enforce that. What other laws will you not enforce? Okay.
Right.
Forget. You didn't enforce these laws, Governor. I'm going to go down 122 miles an hour on your interstates. What you going to do about that?
Yeah. Right. Well, it's not a pick and choose kind of thing.
No.
This is why we have law and order. This is why we have debates. It's why we have votes. But look at every place that this is occurring. It's run by liberal Democrats whose policies are failing. I mean, look in Charlotte right now. I just saw one of their council members, who's an outspoken liberal, is now being indicted for, federal loan fraud from the PPP loans.
Yeah, I saw that.
give me a break. Just give me a break. And so, it's rules for thee, but not for me. That's what their mantra is.
Yeah. So, Congressman, this is Chris. I was just curious. One of your colleagues was out there trying to get into the building and was.
Oh, man.
I mean, I gotta ask.
That made my day.
Your buddy.
I want to use my congressional powers to come into this building.
Is there?
She has no congressional power.
Thank you. That was going to be my question.
Bingo.
No, sorry, we don't get an all-power book when we get into Congress. And she, what is she doing? She's from Florida, isn't she? She's not a California, isn't she? Florida.
But no, so she's got LA is part of her.
LA is okay. I'm confusing her with somebody else.
Well, it's easy. It's easy to.
No, but Maxine just goes to where there's chaos. She's incited violence before. And so these are people that are national embarrassment when they do these things. So I'm glad the door got slammed in her face.
It was epic.
I'm confused why someone in that position would tell troops that are under the order of the president don't listen to them.
Now he just brought that up. You mentioned that yesterday. I think somebody in power, as a congressman, if Dr. Murphy goes out and says that you don't have to listen to the president, he's given a lawful order, but you don't have to listen to him. At what point in time is that treason? You're working against this government.
So I'm not quite sure it rises to the level of treason. It just rises to and past the level of stupidity.
Felonious stupidity.
I like that one.
It is free speech, but if it was a member of the military, they'd have been fired, court-martialed, or whatever on the spot.
Yep.
But people know better than to believe what she says, and good Lord, Maxine needs to retire. So,
continue to wither away. Do something.
She was not happy when he shut that door in her face. She slapped at the door like, "How dare he!" And I was like, "Oh."
She has no power there. No, I don't have power to go, say, to do something unlawful or to countermand some superior officer's order. I don't have that.
No.
Nor do I want that. Truly, that's not the role as a member of Congress. So.
Okay, before we get too far and get going, I've sent you an invitation. I think Alexander's also forwarded you one for 28th, 29th of June. If you're available and you happen to be in this neck of the woods, stop by an event, and you've got it there available to you. It's called Amateur Radio Field Day. It's a national event, and the locals here, we put on a big show. It's to talk about emergency communications. When all else fails, as it did during Helene, most recently, hams were providing comms before Mr. Musk could get his stuff together.
Yeah, great. Well, we'll look at the calendar. I actually went up to, because I'm the only member of the congressional delegation that has any type of healthcare background. I went up and actually sat down with the hospital up in Asheville and looked at their emergency response. I have to say, they did a pretty damn good job up there. They didn't have water. They were drilling wells within 48 hours.
Really?
To get water. It wasn't drinkable water, but it was something that could help them process, some of the, not directly, but indirectly process some of the instruments because of cooling.
Sure.
They really did a pretty damn good job of mobilizing forces. Now, they're part of a national chain, HCA, and they had some experience, obviously, with disasters down in Florida. But my hat's off to them. I think they did a damn good job in a very, very difficult situation.
And then there's FEMA. Oh well.
Yeah. Somebody. So recently, I had an occasion to be at a place where I had some old friends, acquaintances, people that I may have gone to school with in the past, and one woman came up to me with righteous indignation: "Is why don't you get FEMA to, help out the West?" And my response was, well, I wish FEMA had the money back that it spent on the illegal aliens, so we could spend it on our own people.
Ooh.
And that kind of let's just say, quieted that person.
Oh,
How many billions did we spend on those individuals? It's
Sure.
tragic.
Too
It's
many.
tragic.
Sure.
And
Can't
still
spend it on our own people, but we have to spend it on people to come in the country illegally.
I think maybe you should come up with something that we, the people, have to vote on giving anybody anything that other than fits the guidelines of welfare or anything else where we have to give them money, anything else where we have to furnish clothing, places for them to stay. We, the people, need to make that call. We, the people.
Radford, we are the richest country on earth, and I've worked in a lot of places where there's extreme poverty.
Yeah.
Where there's extreme poverty, and we are the most generous nation in the world, well, hands down.
Yep.
But there's a point where we have national solvency to worry about. We have our debt to worry about. We've got a lot of other things that if we crash and burn, guess what happens to the rest of the world, buddy? 1929 looks like a spring day.
Yeah.
And there is a balance. There is a balance for us helping out less fortunate in the world. And I truly believe as a country with a Judeo-Christian foundation, we're called to do that. But we're also called to do things in moderation and in stability and worrying about our future also.
I don't mind helping people out. That's what we're supposed to do. But to the detriment of this country, our citizens, how much do you help them out? Share is not giving up everything that we've got to them so they can live our lifestyle, for instance. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I thought you were talking about Cher, the movie star.
No, I don't want her either.
We'll go off on that, Red. It's kind of funny. It's kind of sad, actually, that now, half of Hollywood's, all their kids are one of these gender disorder things. I don't know where that came from, but it was a sound rejection from the American people because all of Hollywood was behind Kamala, that people don't believe that Hollywood can lead us as far as morality.
Well, I think her days are pretty well numbered. I don't think California will even support her for governorships.
Well, I've got something really, really important that we need to talk about.
Uh-oh.
And that's, have you got your cleats ready? Are you ready? Tomorrow night's the big ball game.
Absolutely. It's really pretty funny. Our coach is a great guy. He's a member from Texas, former major leaguer. He, in fact, played on the Braves with Hank Aaron.
That sucks.
And coach,
for them,
coach takes this very, very seriously. If I am a minute past 5:45 a.m. on the field, I'm late. And we start on March the 1st. It was so funny this year. It was 34 degrees outside, and the wind was blowing that day about 15 or 29. And we are all just cursing the coach. And he said, boys, he goes, gentlemen, this is America's sport. You got to ask yourself, are you American? Now shut up and go play ball.
Well, last year it was a blowout, 31-11, Republicans.
Yeah.
What are we doing this year?
I'll never predict, but we have the same team, and my understanding is maybe they have one new player that's pretty good, but I like our odds.
All right, I'll be watching.
Not that you're allowed to hold your
strategy.
I know the strategy is to win, but your schedule all the time. Are you going to be able to be in Fayetteville today with a certain special visitor?
No, unfortunately not. No. I had obligations already set forth before, and I could not handle it, and so. Anyway, sorry, but I know our president's doing great things.
Yes, he is.
Look, just real quick, going back to the game, if people want to watch it, it's going to be on Fox Sports at 7:00 tomorrow night.
Really?
In case you want to. But,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not too late if we send you a care package, right? Because I've been collecting some stuff for you. You might want it.
What? Or you?
Bengay.
Lots of Bengay.
Well, we're going to be watching tomorrow night. I know I'll be right there. I have to put up
I'm
another
the
TV.
oldest player on the team. I'm the oldest active player on the team.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned that.
You wouldn't know it by watching it, though.
Well-
I mean, you're right in there with those guys. I mean, I watched you.
I'm too
You
scrappy.
didn't play last year, though. Last year was the
Well, I
game
had
you
a-
missed, right?
I had a little
Yeah.
brain surgery.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with brain surgery. Yeah, but oh no, we're going to be watching you.
Well, we're
Great.
all right.
Well, we raised several million
Great.
for pediatric causes for the
See.
DC area.
Wow.
And, last year we had, I think, 37,000 people there. There are more people there that come to than the Nats game.
Yeah.
Really?
So,
Look at the
so it's
record.
really a big
Wow.
thing in DC, and it's a good bipartisan. Let your hair
Yeah, I
down,
wanted
both
to
of my
go.
hairs, and it's competitive, but it's for a good cause.
Well, I'm going to go to the
Appreciate
game
you
now.
doing
I've decided I'm going to fly on up there and get outside the
Yeah,
gate.
we can
with
take a flight, be there in
and I'm
an
just
hour.
going to get my worst looking outfit, kind of like my normal
No, you have
clothes.
to wear
Well,
red.
we have
It'll be
we've got about 70 people, as far as our group, that we were able to get tickets for to the game.
Yay.
So,
Well,
I don't know if we got any extra ones.
Well, what I was going to do is go up there with a sign that says GoFundMe and hand out, $1 a piece. That's $37,000 I could raise if everybody gave to me.
For what?
For Reach
whatever
Across
I
America.
want.
Let me know how that works out.
Well, it works out for other people.
You'd give it to Reach Across America.
A
wouldn't
chunk
you?
of it, yeah.
Thank you.
That's right.
Yeah, we got this. We that is one of our deals here. We're pushing really hard. Chris and his lovely wife, they are the ramrods, shall we say, of this whole
Mhm.
Wreaths Across America. We're tired of waiting until the last minute, so Chris has been doing it since last year.
I will tell you about
Right.
3 years ago when I was so involved in it, and I went to Greg and to Lindy. I'm sorry, Congressman, and to Lindy. Yes, and that Congressman Murphy was exceptionally helpful in helping and direct me to raise some funds.
Good.
And so I think
that's what
for
Ray did.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
So Congressman Murphy, I mean, he's always been there,
Oh, I
and
know he
he's a
is.
great promoter of the Wreaths Across America. So.
Not
It's a
third
wonderful
party.
cause.
Not
Yes.
third party. Yes.
Wonderful cause.
I know you got to go because you're going to have to get ready to put up
Play.
some more
Yeah.
garbage and then to get ready to play for tomorrow night. I'm
Yeah.
sure you're going to.
Uh,
All you got to do is turn the TV on. You'll know what's
Just
going
just
on.
put it all aside and go out there and kick blue butt tomorrow night.
Well, actually, think about some of it when he's up there batting.
Well, that's
Then
what
knock
I'm
it out of the
thinking.
ballpark.
I'm thinking about, can you
Yeah,
put
I'll
some
get
names on
over
those
eager and
balls?
I'll overswing if that's the case.
He'll be like,
I got to
daggone
wait
it.
on the pitch a little bit. I have a propensity to get out in front of the ball because
Swing early.
in my
Send you to
older
right
days,
field.
I played. Well, in older days, I played against pitchers that pitch the ball a lot faster, and so I've got to really slow myself down, and so that's a problem. I have to. Coach was always yelling at me about that.
So what you're saying is that when the pitcher from the other side, from your side, is up there getting ready to throw the ball, that's when you get walk out of the dugout and head for the mound. You got that much time to get there?
Yeah,
No.
man, it's close, but maybe not quite that.
What's your jersey number?
3?
Three.
Third
Okay,
district.
I thought so. I just
Third
wanted to
district.
make sure. Yeah.
For the 3rd district. That's right.
All right.
All right. We're going to tell everybody to watch.
All right, Dr. Murphy,
Got it.
thank you. Thanks for your
Oh,
time.
so
y'all have
much.
a great day.
Thank you
You
for what
too.
you do,
Take
sir.
care.
Thank you, y'all. God bless.
God bless you.
Bye-bye.
It's always a pleasure to have him on here and be able to talk to him like he's a normal human being.
Oh, yeah.
How many stuffed
Yeah.
shirts do we talk to? Not really that many because we don't let them be that way. But I have over the years. It's just been one of those. You got to officially go up and you got to do this. You got to do it this way. And no,
I like watching him when he gets up on the floor during Congress and he starts going, starts discussing something. He does that a lot. And I've even seen him run the show a couple
Yeah.
times up there with the gavel and, running whatever they were doing at the time, committees and stuff. I'm like, hey, you got
he
it.
needs that
Oh, that big stick.
that pickaxe handle over
Yeah,
there. There's
yeah.
his gavel.
I've got some numbers real quick.
Okay.
You got it.
910-333-0139.
Oh,
If anyone would like to call and talk about that. But today starts the big graduation.
yes.
Different from the days of when we graduated here from local high
The
schools.
big graduation.
The big graduation.
Multiple schools.
So today at 10 o'clock starts the Jacksonville High School graduation, which I'm still kind of trying to grasp these day graduations. You know, we graduated at
Everything
nighttime.
was at nighttime.
Yeah, 6
Yes.
o'clock or something like that. But today's Jacksonville,
Mm-hmm.
and then tomorrow is Richlands and Dixon. Thursday is Southwest and Swansboro. Saturday is White Oak, and then last but not least is Northside. Wednesday the 11th.
Okay.
So, folks,
Yeah.
be careful around the high schools.
Wednesday the
Yes.
11th is tomorrow.
It is.
Today's the 10th.
It is.
Yeah, today's the 10th. Tomorrow's the.
So are you saying it's next week?
No, you're right. It's tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you, Rayford.
I was getting
I got
confused there for a
lost.
minute.
I got lost on yesterday.
I stay lost quite often. But anyway, yeah, if you guys want to talk about something, bring us up. We're kind of wide open. We'll be glad to talk to you. 910-333-0139, as Chris mentioned. And Kelly, if you're awake, if you want to chat and just, you can call and scream if you want to. It's okay. I know you're working your butts off right now, but
She laid back there eating oatmeal with banana and playing with her grandson.
yeah,
You go,
I
girl.
know she is. She gets to play. She gets to be so
Oh, I
person
forgot to
in
mute.
charge right now, doesn't she?
Yes.
Grandchild, and she can do anything she wants that the kid will allow her to do.
Oh my gosh! I just got received in text from a friend that said, "Look at channel so and so news.
That's not gonna work.
Damage to Big Rock Landing from storms. Part of awning fell from their building on at least 2 vehicles."
No,
Ooh.
were those vehicles floating vehicles or were they?
Oh
Just
my
little low cars out there.
gosh.
Cars are easily replaceable.
Oh, I know what you're talking about on that awning, but yeah, it got pretty rough out there during
Yeah,
the
well,
night.
yeah.
Didn't they say there was wind gusts of like 50 miles an hour last night, early
Could
this
be.
morning?
Didn't have them here.
Yeah, I was listening to that this morning on the Wow, thanks, Matt, for that. But talking about that real quick, like yesterday, there was a lot of marlins released. Nothing was boated and brought in. The biggest thing they had was mainly dolphins yesterday, and the
Mahi,
Mahi,
dolphin,
Mahi.
El Dorado.
the very last one to come in last night, right close to 7 o'clock, was the offshore outlaw, and they weighed in a 14-pound dolphin, and right now they're currently on the leaderboard for that. But that was about.
Well, if you guys will just go ahead and fillet that sucker, and I'll come up and pick it up
I got so tickled.
tonight. That will be on my Blackstone.
I got so tickled because, a lot of the boats, well, there was only 43 out of 272 that went out yesterday. And so a lot of the boats were bringing in just small fish. And I got so tickled because the first boat that docked brought in 2 dolphins, and they weighed about 3 pounds apiece, and they were giving them.
Those are sandwich dolphins.
They were like, well, that is equal to 2 mahi tacos and blah blah blah, But you have to understand that everything you bring in
It's a point.
is a point.
Yep.
Right.
And so you could bring in, a bunch of little small dolphins and add those points up, which might help you when you bring in a big fish and you need that 1 point to tip the scales.
So the 12 big marlins that were caught, and obviously they weren't brought in,
Probably not big ones.
not
Yeah,
big,
they
not
probably
big
get
enough, so
points
they
for-
get points for that.
Yeah, they get points
Yes.
for catch and release. When they
Catch
cut
and
one
release.
loose, they get points for it. If it's a 5-pounder or a 50-pounder or a 390-pounder, whatever.
Right.
If they're not going to boat it,
Yeah,
catch it,
here's
release it.
just yesterday, some of the releases. Shenandoah released a white marlin. Sea Student, I love that name, Sea Student, released a sailfish. Chasin A released a blue marlin. Woodpecker.
What did the D student release?
A sailfish. It didn't say what kind. It
The
just
D
says.
student? The D student?
Oh, the D student, funny. Chasin A was a blue marlin, woodpecker blue marlin, and sea creature blue marlin. So these are all releases that they had yesterday. And so I'm sure that they got them up enough they could see they weren't big enough. And then too, you have the ones that pull the hooks.
Oh, yes.
You have where you've got them on the hook and you
And
bring
they
them
just-
in and they pull the hook.
But they don't
And you
count.
get points.
Oh, do you?
I think you get points for that.
The
Really?
fish pulls the hook.
Let me see.
I don't think so.
Well, I may be absolutely wrong.
Is this
so
the
let
fish
me
pulls
look.
the hook?
Well,
Yeah.
what
It spits it
happens-
out.
It spits it out
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
In other words, you didn't have the hook good.
No, that maybe you didn't have a strong enough hook for that big fish.
I will guarantee there's not a soul out there fishing for marlin that doesn't have a strong enough hook.
I'd have an anchor.
Oh.
I put an anchor out there. All right, let me see.
Rayford, I know you'd love going out that far.
Oh, God, yes. If I can see land, I'm too close.
Really?
Yeah, here's
don't
here's
see land. I'm
the
too
weights
far.
of the dolphins that came in yesterday. The first one that was the old number 7 boat came in. Theirs were 3 pounds exactly. Breakwater had 3.1. Woodpecker had a 4.0. Ocean Lifter a 4.1. Sunday Fun Day 4.2. Ditch Digger with an 11.8. Really thought they were going to take it, but then they realized they had one more boat out that was just coming around
Dang
the
it,
corner.
boy.
And that was the Offshore Outlaw with weighed in at 14 pounds. But and that was a small boat, a 36-foot Harris.
Mhm. There, well, who we got?
We've got Kathy calling. Stephanie, aka
Who?
Kathy.
Oh,
What
don't
did
get
you
you
just say? Who's calling?
she said
Chris.
Stephanie. No, she said Stephanie.
Stephanie?
I'm staying out of trouble.
I said Kathy first.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Hey,
That's
Hey,
right.
Kathy
She
first.
even heard me.
Kathy is first. Stephanie comes in second.
Yeah, this is Corporal Kathy Mark today.
Oh,
And I'm calling to say hello and good morning to the Sergeant Major. So,
Well, he's not here, but I'm sure he may be listening.
he was here.
Yeah, I
yesterday.
think,
Yeah, he was there
You may
yesterday.
be looking at yesterday's program. Update.
I think my computer's all boogered up.
Okay.
Oh, yours is not the only one, girl. You're not the only one.
Y'all scare me. Just stay away from my
I think
laptop.
Two in front of me right now. Both of them are messed up.
They know what you plan on doing with your
One,
computer.
2, or 1,
Oh, you already
2.
told me that?
All right, I thought you
Yeah.
said 2, and I
I
was
know.
like,
Rayford just said don't throw it in the
Don't
water.
throw in the water. Water pollution is bad.
No.
And besides,
No.
it might float or something.
It's going out in the 5 o'clock traffic. That's where mine's going.
Oh.
It's going to become like part of the pavement. Yes.
Now, if you find yourself a big old truck somewhere parked, if you take some duct tape and tape it to the tire
Oh.
and let it go round and round and round for about a half a mile, it'll take care of the problem. Matter of fact, for about the first 10 feet, the problem's resolved.
Well, I don't know. I think the traffic on the Gum Branch Road coming home will take care of that.
Oh, God, yeah.
When the traffic is done. So I figured, yep, no, it's seen better days. It's having a lot of issues. So it's going to be gone very soon. So I have no doubt.
Well, I'm going to take up a collection, GoFundMe account so I can get one new one. I can quit complaining about these. I've got my IL-1 computer that is just a bare computer. There's no keyboard, there's no mouse, there's no nothing. You plug your own stuff in. It's a box.
oh,
And you plug it in. That's it. You plug your other stuff into that. It's a very clean, high capacity box.
well, isn't that what CPUs are? Those right over
No,
there?
those
They're tall.
are complete computers. It's a box. It's about that square.
Tall things, please.
And it will hold a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I'll plug in as much stuff as I want to, and that way I can eliminate this, and that one. I can eliminate 4 computers with this one box.
Either that or get a bigger table. I don't know.
I don't want to be there's more junk to go bad.
I'm not for getting a new one because and Chris needs a new one before I do. But like I said, this one's just giving me a fit. So my desktop is sitting in the bedroom, and I'm living off of the laptop. But I still don't have a document. I can't write a letter.
Mm.
That'll be fixed. Don't worry.
I've got a Royal typewriter over here
There you
I
go.
love that.
from 1936.
I love that.
Yeah, people can't read my handwriting, so I've got to have a computer to write letters and stuff. So
I understand. Okay.
yep. But I just want to say good morning, y'all. Again.
Good morning.
Good
morning.
morning,
Kathy,
Kathy.
appreciate the call.
Thanks for calling.
Well, you guys have a great day, and don't worry about the rain. I got a Mickey Mouse umbrella if y'all need it. So,
A Mickey Mouse umbrella?
Yeah.
well, I had to buy it yesterday because I got stuff in the store,
A Mickey Mouse.
and
umbrella.
it was pouring out, and they had a Mickey Mouse umbrella. So
USD.
I'll buy it.
Got to do what you got to do.
Well, I can understand you needing one, but I don't ever need an umbrella.
I don't need it.
I don't melt.
Men don't.
I will never melt.
Yeah.
I'm not,
We had bad hair days in the rain. Okay,
I told you.
Well, I did when I had hair, but
You can always tell what category hurricane's coming by my hair. If it's like it's a 3.
You got it. You got it. Yep, when it's standing straight out there, you know it's a 5. So go get out of town.
kind of like the old Pet Rock days, right? Pet Rock's blowing
Chia
out.
pet.
Speaking of Pet Rock,
Chia.
that's what I'm sitting here doing right now. So.
Oh, okay.
But y'all have a great day.
Thank you,
too.
Kevin. Bye.
Avoid the raindrops. So.
Yeah.
All right, just to update, and I checked, in the Big Rock Blue Marlin Tournament, points are awarded for a pole hook,
Really?
and anglers can earn extra points for releasing billfish.
Really? A pole hook?
Yes.
That's a getaway.
Well, not if you fought them for like an hour and
It's
a half.
it's a getaway.
If you fought them for,
You missed him.
you ought to get something for it.
If you can't take it to the table, it ain't worth it. It doesn't count.
All right. So what about the ones that get him all the way up on the boat and they get him in the boat and then they find out he's been attacked by a shark? Those are disqualified, but you still get some kind of points for him. You boated him.
Uh-huh.
You caught him. So you're going to tell me you're going to go out there and you're going to fight one for an hour
This
and
is
he
something
pulls the
that
hook.
he won. You didn't win. If he pulls the hook, if he spits it out and says, "Hey, I got you," you shouldn't get points for that.
Well, what's the difference between a pulled hook and a release?
A lot.
He released himself off my hook.
That doesn't count. He got away. It's a getaway.
You get points.
He got away from you. I don't count. I don't like that.
Can I mention, go back to LA for a
Yeah,
minute?
please do.
Very short brief there. Because I visited there once for a
I'm
week.
sorry.
I know.
What was it, an overnight stay?
I will tell you real quick that Chris Miller agrees with you. A pulled hook
Thank
is
you.
a giveaway.
Getaway.
There you go.
Chris.
Good boy,
Speaking of protesters and rioters, do the letters BLM mean anything to you?
B is in Bravo or D
No,
is in Delta?
The paid actors that
BLM.
BLM, Black
Yes,
Lives Matter.
yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they are out there
Oh, bless
Right.
their hearts.
leading the protest and stuff.
Well, good for them.
I don't know why.
Well,
And don't get me wrong, I love everybody, but why is that group out there?
they're not protesting for anything. You understand this. I cannot make that perfectly clear enough, y'all. These people who are protesting, they're not protesting for the downtrodden illegals or anything like that. They're protesting against law enforcement. That's the only reason they're there. They're using, it's like my wife. She orders French fries at a restaurant. Why? She calls it the hot sauce delivery system. She puts hot sauce on her French fries. She doesn't like French fries. These people do not care for the illegals. They won't take them home with them. They won't support them on their own. They don't care about them. They're using them as a delivery system of their message. They hate cops. That's all they are.
They may hate them until the time when they need them.
Yeah, we used to have a little saying, you don't like the police, then next time you need help, call a hippie. That was back in the days.
Yeah.
Call a hippie. Call one of these protesters. When you need help, when the dude's breaking into your house, call a protester. They'll come help you.
Well, I believe in voicing your opinion, but I'm not one to go out there and stand on the street and protest about anything. I'm too lazy for that.
You can protest all you want. You can do it on this radio show.
Right.
You can do it on your Facebook pages. You can do it wherever you want to. Don't break the law. Don't deface
Right.
my property. Don't throw rocks at my car. Do not throw rocks at me. That's going to be a really bad situation. You can protest all you want legally.
Right.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
And if you don't like the cops, just stand up and say, be a man about it, or a woman about it, or something in
Be
between about it.
respectful.
Be something and stand up and say, I just don't like cops. It's okay. I don't care. But using this method just so you have an opportunity to throw rocks and bottles, oh, that's a get out of jail card free. I can do that because I don't like cops, but I'm doing it for a good cause. I'm here for a good cause. No, you're
Well,
not. You're there for yourself. You don't like cops.
I think the bad protesters
You're bums.
feel like they have the right to be they have the right to be mean. They have the right to deface. They have the right to loot because they think it's their right because they're not being treated fairly.
You have the right to do anything you want. In the way this world, this earth was first formed when they put man on it
Right.
and women on it. You had the right to do anything you wanted until it interfered with somebody else's right.
Yeah, you come into my store and loot. What about my rights?
Your right is to defend your property.
True, but you know what I mean. What about me?
Yeah.
They want to complain, that they've been so treated so badly. So let's come into my store and rob me.
Did you all
What
ever
about me?
watch the Watts riots way back when?
No,
Oh, it was all over the place. They were burning here, burning there, but
Was
they were
it
burning their own.
what?
They were burning stores in their own neighborhoods. The people they gave them credit and
Ridiculous.
everything. They were stealing stuff from those stores. They were breaking into stores of their relatives and stealing TVs that they were selling. Those days, TVs were heavy too. I'm not. You're not the brightest star in the universe. Matter of fact, you're mostly invisible. Okay, let's go on another
Oh
topic.
yeah, hey, have
Yeah.
you been following the big story about Ed the zebra that escaped in Murfreesboro,
Yeah, they caught him finally.
Tennessee,
Yeah.
on May 31st, and he became a sensation, a media sensation. Yeah, and they were trying to find him, and the memes
He kind
that
of
came
stands
out.
out, in a
Yeah,
crowd.
they finally caught him this past week, and I think it was
Impersonating a
Sunday.
cow.
No, but there was news helicopters out there
bear.
following him, and there were so many memes that came across the internet. I mean, they had him eating at the Waffle House. They had him visiting Disney. I mean, the memes were fantastic.
So
but
he was on the lamb, right?
he was
Hold on, he was on the lamb.
disguised as a zebra.
And he was, they were providing food at Waffle House. They could be arrested for that. If they were looking for him, he was a fugitive from justice, right? He was an escapee, and the Waffle House was helping him. I want charges brought against him.
He was-
He just happened to have
Here he is
stripes.
in a neighborhood. He's in a neighborhood right here, in a regular neighborhood.
Uh-huh.
And
Harboring
just
a
running the
fugitive.
streets. Yeah, he was captured safely after being located in a pasture near a subdivision in the Christina community in Central Tennessee. And what they did was he was airlifted and flown by helicopter back to a waiting animal trailer. And it was so cool because they have him in this big net and his head sticking out. And he looked like he would just sit back chilling for that ride. Like, hey, this is really cool. I mean, it's the coolest zebra I have ever seen. But the memes and the fun that the people would have with him. The zebra was spotted and filmed running along Interstate 24, forcing deputies to shut down the roadway, but he escaped into a wooded area. And there were several sightings posted to social media of him trotting through a neighborhood.
Oh,
One fake post showed Ed dining at a Waffle House, a Southern staple. Others had him visiting other Tennessee cities or panhandling along the side of the road. It was hilarious. Kelly sent me a bunch of the pictures of, that people had generated, like AI pictures. It was hilarious.
she was trying to stay sane, wasn't she?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, usually late night we start sending each other stuff. She's really good about it. She'll send me some crazy stories. But here he is right here in the net. I mean, does that zebra just not look like he's
Baby.
chilling?
Yeah.
Oh, he is.
They say,
He's
look at
enjoying
me,
the ride.
look at me.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
flying
I just
high.
think, I'm gonna put the link to the story on comments. Anybody wants to see it for a good smile of the day.
I'm just going to get a little pensive for just a moment.
I try to lighten the mood.
I went to a
Ed.
funeral yesterday,
Yes.
and you go to celebration of life type funeral
Right.
arrangement for a retired state trooper, state highway patrolman.
Right.
Worked this area for a long time, and he autographed a lot of pieces of paper for a whole lot of folks.
He did.
And Trooper Richard Hood, better known as
Yes.
Dickie Hood to most of the people who knew him. He was described as brusque in his obituary and by the preacher yesterday, as a lot of people considered him to be brusque, and he used that to hide a heart of gold.
Wow.
What a great description.
That is
I never,
beautiful.
wow.
He
That
was-
is
Yeah, he was.
nice.
I mean, and the preacher, when he stood there, he said, "You know, I had the same disease. Had been suffering with experiencing the same thing that Trooper Hood did, and I heard about it, and I decided I wanted to meet him, so I got an introduction, and then I'd go by and talk. We had a lot of conversations together, and one of the things he asked me was, did we ever meet?
Mm.
And he says, no, sir, we never met professionally, neither your profession nor mine. He said, but I can't say that about my brothers. I got 3 of them, and they all got tickets from you. And there was a little nervous laughter in the room because I think perhaps a significant number of those individuals in that room, other than the law enforcement officers, they probably did get some autographed pieces of paper from Mickey over the years. I did not know him well. I had met him a couple times. I think every time I met him, it was just like in a group, and he wasn't working. I don't even know that he was still a state trooper at the time. Could have been, but it's been a while ago, some time ago that I met him. So I just wanted to go by and pay my respects, and not knowing as we get older how many people will actually show up at events like that.
Yeah.
You know, law enforcement community did turn out very well. I will say that. And sheriff was there. Lieutenant from the JPD was there. And there may have been some other people not in
Old-timers.
uniform that I
Right.
didn't know. Charlie Miracle, I did know.
Right,
And
yes.
as old as that old codger is, you're older than me, Charlie. Thank
He's
you very
still
much for
going
that.
now. He's still.
Oh yeah, he was still zipping right along. And other people that I could tell they were troopers because they had the trooper haircut, even though they had been retired for many, many years. They kept that trooper haircut.
Mm.
And so I saw them, and I did everything I could to recognize them because some of the guys that I knew around here and in other districts, highway patrolmen move. You know, they get reassigned at their request sometimes, and sometimes not at their request, to different districts to work. They have to pack up, move.
Right.
That's a bit like the military. So I've bumped into some of the people over the years that had worked here, Cumberland County, where I knew a number of troopers over there at one time, and New Hanover County, Pender County, Brunswick. And, you know, I met a whole bunch of highway patrolmen. So I kept looking at them. Are you one that I should know? They don't look alike. They don't look like anybody that I remember. That's the problem. And I saw some people looking at me, and they probably thinking, God, that looks sort of, maybe that could be somebody I know. But, you know, it wasn't the time. I didn't take the time to sit up there and shoot the breeze with them. It was a little bit more somber than that.
He was young.
74?
That's young.
I think so.
That's young.
Is it?
I'm just. Do you know if he suddenly got sick?
No,
or
he'd been sick for a while.
Because I was so surprised when I heard that. Chris and I were just talking early this morning that we have a mutual friend that just passed away.
Mhm.
And I didn't even know she had been sick. And evidently, from what I heard, it was cancer.
Mhm.
And she was a big advocate for teachers. And she was a teacher
Yeah.
herself. So,
Bless her soul.
yeah, bless her soul.
And her
I
name
mean,
is?
well, I don't. It's been on Facebook, so
Well, yeah.
Ann Hardinger,
Yeah.
you know.
I
So
remember the name. I never
yes,
knew her.
yes, and I spent many of the time out at the polls, and we had conversations back in the day. She was on, you know, we were opposite sides, of course, at the time. But you know what? That didn't mean that we couldn't be friends and
Yeah.
talk about things. And we had a lot of lovely conversations. And I liked the woman. I thought a lot of her. I know she did a lot for teachers, you know, leading. I think she was kind of like an activist with the teachers union or something, you know, something like that. But, you know, she was always at the Board of Education meetings last year before. So God bless her. May she rest in peace.
Yeah.
Very nice woman. Very nice
Well,
woman. I
good.
really liked her.
She left a legacy, I'm sure.
Yes, yes.
You know, you mentioned something there, and we were on opposite sides. You said when we were talking to the polls.
Right. I mean, as far as
You think about that a
politics.
little bit. I can like you if you're of a person of another party that any party,
Right.
or I can dislike you.
Right.
But I don't like you because you are a
Mhm.
person
Right.
from another party, or I don't dislike you because
Right,
you're
right.
a person
Well,
of
that's
another
how I
persuasion. I
first
don't
met
care.
her. Right.
I care the way you and I act and interact, and
Exactly.
I don't care about anything else. That's it.
Right.
Now, I thought of something yesterday. I'm sitting in there, not the back pew. I'm not a good Southern Baptist. I made my way forward. And one of the things about here's the thing about I've been to 2 funerals recently,
back
okay?
rower.
And one of the things that's awkward to me, I go to a pew, right? And there's 1 or 2 people on the very end on this end, 1 or 2 people at the very end, the other end. Why? If you're the first persons there,
No.
of which I did, I go to the middle.
I don't
That
want to
saves
be on
people from having to walk over you.
I
You
want
just
to be on
stand
the
up and
end.
back out. I know you do. You're just trying to get out early.
So I can be one of the first ones out. If
You're not
something
going to get
hits.
out early.
You don't realize me in a church? Yeah, that's why I sit in the back to keep the bats, all the bats in the back.
Those with the wings, or
No, it's safer for everyone.
anyway.
I know what you mean.
But why not? If the pew was empty when I walked in, so I walked right smack dab as close to the middle as I could get. That way I could scoot one way or another.
Yeah, I know what you're
But
saying.
not-
It's you know.
I know. Growing up,
Pain in the butt. To have to
Okay,
walk
well then
across
let me
people.
ask you, Chris. I know you're going to ask him this. When you book a flight, do you want the seat by the window or the one by the aisle?
Whichever one I pay for.
I'd take the window myself. I like to wait. I like looking out and seeing stuff. But-
It doesn't matter
but
to me.
I want to be the first person to holler fire if I see the motor on fire.
You may be the last person to yell it too.
No, I will be shooting pictures, and I do that. I carry my camera. I carry a Nikon on board with me,
Right, you can do
Okay.
that, yes.
and I sitting over the wing sometimes is a challenge. So I
Oh,
try
yeah.
not to pick
That's
that
usually where I get the wing.
because I can't see down below. But when I'm approaching like my island, my favorite little island, Bonaire, I know the route that it's going to come in, and I've already set up. We're going to come across a little island just offshore called Klein Bonaire. Come across that, and I like the left side of the plane because that's the first side that's going to be approaching the land.
Isn't
Because we
that-
go across, and then as I'm approaching it, I go and go fast mode, the 8 frames per second, and I will pick up some of the side. And I use
Isn't that a short runway too?
no,
It's not.
that's
Maybe I'm thinking of Belize, no, St. Martin. Yeah.
no,
I'm thinking you're thinking Antigua
Antigua's
Could be.
one of them, but
Yeah.
and there's a couple of them there. I forgot the other one.
and
But
Antigua.
what I was thinking while I was being pensive yesterday, I was thinking about the thing we call the universe. Now I've thought about this a lot. Everything that I know has a beginning and an end. Like this thing is going. It got a beginning here, it ends over here, right?
Yeah.
We are a very small part. This Earth is a very small part of our solar system.
We're a speck.
We're a speck. And then we'll go beyond our solar system into what they say are other solar systems. What's beyond all that? So I finally came up with an answer because sometimes when I'm not sleeping, I will think and say, we talk about that thing called infinity. That stupid little thing, sign for infinity.
Oh, yeah.
There's no ending.
No, there's not.
Okay. And I was thinking about it, and then the preacher started talking, so I was still thinking about it. And then he was saying things that caused me to think about it even more. Spirit leaves us, and it doesn't just disappear. It goes somewhere, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now I know what's beyond our solar systems out yonder. It's called heaven.
Yes, it is.
Mhm.
So that's all I don't have to do anything else. I don't have to prove anything. Everything else that's out there, science has to prove it. Right?
Right.
All I got to do is believe it.
That's correct.
That's it.
Yep.
That's when I'm asked.
That was my revelation to myself yesterday.
It's a good
God.
revelation.
I mean, I know it's always there, but so what's beyond? No, I've tried to put everything into a realistic formula.
Mhm.
Not everything fits, y'all. If you don't believe it, tell me how much that thing, that entity called pi is? Give me a definitive answer.
What do you mean? MC
3.141414141414.
No.
Actually, your revelation is pretty accurate in my world, and I only deal with facts and logic.
Most of us do.
Some people get it emotional. They're going to get into a discussion. It's going to be emotional.
I know.
Not me. I mean, if you only have a conversation, talk facts and logic. That's
when I can't answer the question, I can always revert to what's beyond infinity.
Yeah.
All right.
But let me answer you, because growing up at Infinite Prague Church and being a large family, we didn't have that problem. We took up the whole
in a large family. Oh my God! I wonder.
So we took up the whole pew, but there are people like Leah said. She is an end person. She wants to be.
I prefer the end, but I don't mind if I have.
So do you scoot down or do you get up and let somebody get in?
I get up and let them go by.
I figured as much.
But I'm not losing my seat.
But they do that. They do that at the movie theaters too. If you ever notice, it's here, and then you've got to move.
Not me.
No.
Nope. We go right smack dab to the middle or somewhere down line. I prefer it that way. First of all, you get a better angle of the screen.
Right.
But then I'm out there. I don't have people. I go, you try to stand up in a movie theater to let some 400-pounder go by you.
It's a good question for our listeners.
Look at your height when you're sitting down, and then the big 400-pounder.
They can do that with church pews. All I'm saying is,
that's a. Hey, throw that. We'll throw that out to the listeners. 910-333-0139. Are you an ender or a middle?
A small craft advisory remains in effect through tonight. Southwesterly winds 20 to 25 knots with gusts of 30 today. Seas 5 to 6. You guys out there while playing on the big rock, it's going to be choppy, but you're probably going to catch some fish today. Sounds and rivers are going to be rough. Showers and thunderstorms likely, mainly this morning. Tomorrow. Hey, there's a song about that too, right?
I love you.
Tomorrow. Southwesterly winds tomorrow, 10 to 15 knots, diminishing to 5 to 10 in the afternoon. 2 to 4 footers. Sounds and rivers a moderate chop, diminishing to a light chop in the afternoon. Thursday, southwesterly winds 5 to 10, seas 2 to 3, sounds and rivers a light chop. And a GoFundMe account, if you would like to contribute to my computer, you can do that. Just let me know that you're going to do it. Set me up an account and do all that sort of good stuff. And I will not sing. Otherwise, I might.
My first request of a song.
Shut up.
Sing Far, Far Away. You know that song, don't you?
No.
It's a church song, isn't it?
I know. I thought you were going somewhere else with it.
Today, a chance of afternoon showers and thunderstorms. Mostly cloudy with a high near 86. Southwest wind 8 to 11 miles per hour with gusts as high as 20.
Oh, I know what today is.
Tonight, a chance of showers and thunderstorms. Mostly cloudy with a low around 72. Wednesday, a chance of showers and thunderstorms. Mostly cloudy with a high near 84. And Thursday, another chance of showers and thunderstorms, mostly sunny with a high near 88.
Today is Tuesday.
Yes, it is.
Tomorrow is not.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
I'm not going
The
to
revelations.
where this is going, but
What? Where are you people? Come on.
Hey, we have a new scam that's out. Mike Causey, our insurance commissioner, state insurance commissioner, has put out a warning.
What's that?
This is for
For the
you
crime,
people
for
that
the
have
time.
family that may be incarcerated.
Oh, God.
It's a new phone scam making rounds across the state, leading to several arrests, according to North Carolina Insurance Commissioner Mike Causey. The scam is like a version of the Georgia prison scam. A release states the scammer targets inmates and their relatives. The scammer targets inmates' relatives by calling them, and they demand they pay a percentage of a bond by cell phone app such as Chime, Apple Pay, or Venmo in exchange for an earlier sentence release, according to this release. We've seen several different variations of the scam where those in jail obtained a cell phone either through another person or by a drone drop-off, said Commissioner Causey. We are asking the public to be aware of this. It is a scam, and to never send money to a bail bondsman over the phone without checking with the Department of Insurance first. First of all, what? What's a drone drop-off for phone for somebody in prison,
Yeah.
in jail?
Yeah.
What?
Well, it happens. They can do it.
Can I see somebody at Onslow County Jailhouse down there? Hey, we got a drone drop-off.
They use those for target practice at the sheriff's office.
Yeah, be assured acting as a bail bond agent without a license is a crime, and impersonating a law enforcement officer is also a crime, Commissioner Causey added. Beware of unsolicited phone calls from someone claiming to be a bail bond agent. Don't bow to these pressure tactics, such as someone telling you it's urgent to get the payment in immediately. Always check with the Department of
Listen,
Insurance to make sure you're dealing with
the
a
guy's
licensed
not
agent.
going anywhere. There's nothing urgent about getting the bond money to him.
I mean,
And
what's
Call him
sad?
if that's true.
People that actually fall for this.
Man.
well, I know and the other one they're falling for is the DMV. You've been
Oh,
your
yes.
license plate.
Oh,
You went through a freeway or whatever it is, easy pass, and you didn't pay, and so now your license is going to be revoked. We're going to turn you over to the insurance company.
Good.
Yada yada yada.
I don't have a license, Bubba. What you gonna do now?
I say, come get me. That's what Rayford would tell him. Come
No,
get me.
I've you know, if you call me and you want to play those kinds of games, I'm going to do the same old routine. I don't have a credit card. I don't even drive. I can't go anywhere. But I can get some money here if it'll help you. Come on over and bring your preacher because you're going to need him.
Wow. You talk about an insurance fraud. Here's something else that Causey put out. It's a Martin County man is facing multiple charges after trying to file duplicate insurance claims.
Let me tell you. Okay, you do this, and I'm going to think about the figures here. All right.
Okay.
He's filed for 2 different claims
Right.
for the same wreck,
That's right.
and the total damage was $1,200.
That's right.
He's
$1,268.63.
in jail under $2,500 bond.
Exactly.
Something doesn't make sense to do things that stupid, y'all.
Can we talk about stupidity?
Yeah, that's just. Why would you do?
Yeah, charged with 2 counts of insurance fraud and 2 counts of attempting
You
to
do
pay.
not think that's going to. Insurance companies don't like us anyway.
No.
All right. First of all,
he
they
was-
don't want to pay a legitimate claim. Seriously, they don't enjoy paying out claims because that costs them money.
Mhm.
They don't enjoy paying out claims. They're going to do everything they can to make sure that you are totally eligible, and they're going to make you jump through hoops to prove it.
Was it worth $1,000?
I want 3. I want 3 proofs that you have died. I want 3 people. I want the autopsy. I want the medical. I want everything before I can pay you out. That's almost that bad.
No, it is.
For a good cause, though, because there are people like this idiot.
Definitely an idiot.
When
He went to court yesterday, but they haven't released what happened yet.
I think that was just first appearance or
Yeah.
likely. So
it's like people that embezzle. Is it really worth? You're going to get caught. I mean, you're going to get caught.
Yeah.
what about the people who embezzle who work for the church?
To
What I
steal
don't
from a
get is for
church.
5 been embezzling. The secretary has been embezzling for 5 years. Got
How do
over
you
$1
not
million
know?
over 5 years, and that the church didn't miss it. That's a rich church.
That's why you need to have more than one person reviewing your financial documents. That's like me working as a campaign treasurer. I always have somebody else on the campaign to back up everything I do. I make copies of checks. I make copies of receipts. I try to make sure that everything that was ever done, there's record of it. But these people that can go for 5 years, like a church secretary, and nobody's ever questioned the finances, they're just as much at fault in my book. I mean, they didn't steal the money, but duh.
In one of the cases we read recently, the lady, the first year, she got in a little, and she thought she in her head borrowed a few $100s. Well, nobody said anything about it. I was going to pay it back, of course, but nobody said anything about it. So, I need a few hundred more dollars.
And
Okay,
then they kept dipping more.
preacher, I think I'm gonna get me a credit card. What do you think? So I can pay some of the bills with a credit card? Well, she was
Yeah.
taking vacations and buying plane tickets and everything else with her this church's credit card. And it took 5 years to catch her. Nobody noticed that she was gone a lot.
Yeah, that'd be the first.
Nobody had any. Nobody had any
vacations.
questions about that. Huh?
Yeah. Wow.
Why is she doing this? We don't pay her any money of any consequence.
Person will be answering later on.
Well, she answered a lot
Well, she
sooner
was
than
like-
later on already. So,
They did.
but the church said never going to get that money
I
back.
mentioned something because a good
Okay.
friend of mine got in a very bad accident yesterday.
Ooh.
But
Oh no.
she's fine and everything. But it was daytime, and it was a drunk driver. A day, and I know that everybody drinks.
Do you want to know how many people I've run breathalyzers for and I've arrested for
Mm,
at 7:00 in the morning?
mm.
Because they were drunk, they were drinking at 3:00 in the morning, and they got up and either went home or went to work. And on the way, that is just easy pickings time, honestly.
Well, I
Because
saw.
they really stand out like a sore thumb.
Well, this one did. It is a rather young lady.
Sad. It's very sad.
Partying,
I guess.
partying the night before.
I don't know the exact time of the accident. It looked like it happened on Gum Branch Road, but it was bad.
Mhm.
I mean, it was bad, and through the grace of God, the people were okay. But the girls, maybe in their 20s.
Gum Branch Road is.
They were partying.
Yeah, I just
That's why you asked me if I'd been down Gum Branch Road. Like,
Yeah.
I try to stay off of it because every day there's a wreck out there. It's just.
well, it's there's so much traffic out there to begin with,
It is.
just car traffic. But
Right.
now they've got the new developments coming, so you've got these 18-wheelers pulling out with log trucks and
Yeah, people slow down. We talk about motorcycles,
Mm-hmm.
and when I'm driving a big old car, or you are, or a big old pickup truck, and you are, but we look down the highway and we don't see that little car. I mean, that little motorcycle coming out. We don't see them. The cars are out there, right?
Right.
So we're looking. Okay, and then we pull out and there's a motorcycle. Big trucks, when they pull out, not only are motorcycles in danger, but these little tiny smart cars and other things like that. It's hard to tell how fast those little boogers are going, number one. And you should never be driving so fast that you can't stop before
Exactly.
you come to a collision. And the trucker may be at fault for pulling out in front of you, but who's going to be hurt when you hit the rear end of that 18-wheeler or you in your little smart car or motorcycle? I don't care who's at fault. You're the one that's going to get hurt. Think of your own butt. Good golly, because that lasts you forever. And if you think insurance is going to help you, no, it's not worth it.
Well, did you see the story that 2 people were killed and 2 more injured Monday night? Did you talk about that? No, today is Tuesday. Happened last night in Duplin County.
No,
It was around 7:45 p.m. A Chevy Silverado headed north on Highway 111 near
a pickup truck.
NC903 in Pink Hill went left to center and collided head-on with the Dodge Ram headed south.
Oh, 2 pickups hit head on. That's
Yeah.
not good.
Yeah,
Big pickups.
Highway Patrolman, what was his name? Sergeant Devon Rich, said the driver of the Silverado, Nathaniel Sullivan of Kenansville, and the driver of the Ram, Odilon Vasquez Lopez of Mount Olive, were both killed.
So
Sad.
neither one won.
It went left to center and hit the other one head on. And have you ever noticed, like just say this morning on my way to the studio, I went and picked up my thermos of coffee and took a swig. And as I was putting it back down, I kind of jiggled a little bit, to the right, So many things are distractions. And I thought, how easy would it have been for me actually to run off the side of the road?
Easy.
very easy. So it's little things like that people. And you ever drop something and reach down for it? I don't. If I drop it and it
no.
rolls on the floor, it stays there.
Stays
Not
there.
a problem.
Unless it rolls under my brake, and then it's got to go. But
Yeah.
I
hate my computer.
The other one that gets me is at intersections. Especially, I'm going to talk about Gum Branch and Western,
yes.
where there's the local
yeah.
CVS,
Yes.
Wendy's, and
That's
you have those yield
yes.
to the turning cars,
Right.
and the people that now have the yellow light to turn right, and you have the U-turn, and you have the right of way with that U-turn.
Right.
But
They still go through.
If you take it and the other people don't, because it's confusing. They don't
It
know what
is.
to do.
I don't think they read the sign.
Well, sometimes you're not going to stop to read the sign.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The Piney Green and 24. You're turning left off of Piney Green. There are two lanes to turn left onto Highway 24. The vehicles that are coming westbound on 24 headed for Jacksonville, they get to that intersection, they can turn right
Correct.
on red.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you're going up there, you're going to turn left.
And you're making
But
a left.
there are people that are doing U-turns
Yep.
at that intersection because there's no other place to get around until if you are anywhere from there. When I was going up there every month for a meeting,
Mhm.
no, not me. I'm not going to go up there I went over down 24 or 24 West
Yeah.
to the first crossover with a traffic light that let me turn around and go back. And then I turned on the Piney Green Road. That's the only safe way to do it.
That's like trying to go into Enon Baptist Church from Piney Green. You've got to actually go through the intersection, either make a U-turn or you've got to turn left onto 24, take your first turnaround, come back and go that way. It's crazy. I'm sure there's reasoning behind the madness. After all, it took 5 years to redo Piney Green.
Is
10
that
years?
all?
I
Yeah.
don't know. Oh, I will tell you though that I did go down New Bridge Street last week. Beautiful.
Isn't
Beautiful.
Like those islands in the middle.
I like it. To me, it's less confusion. Before you had two travel lanes, and it was always like dodging whoever was backing out, and you had to go really slow. And even though there's only one travel lane, to me it seemed simpler.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it.
I think they did a good job.
Yes.
Yeah, they did a good job. It was well worth the time that.
Yes. The only thing that I don't like is the four-way stops. When they took the light out.
Those are always going to be a problem.
I don't like them anywhere.
Pony Farm and Blue Creek Road is probably one of the worst.
That's crazy. Didn't that used to be a two-stop sign?
Mhm. Yep.
And now it's four-way.
Now it's 4. And then so you get everybody that gets there at the same time.
Yep.
Now who's going to go?
The
And
person on the right.
so
But
it's supposed to
everybody's
be-
on your right.
Yeah.
Doesn't
But-
matter where you're sitting. Steve, it doesn't matter where you're sitting, which stop sign, you're going to have somebody on your right. So
Right. And they
Right.
think they have the right way. Yeah.
Morning, Steve. How are you?
Hey, Steve.
Hey, good morning, guys. Doing well. Hope you are too.
Hanging in here.
doing good.
Got you. Hey, I hate to stir the pot right off the bat, but I got a question. Maybe y'all can help me understand a little bit. It's really throwing me for a loop. I was listening to Dr. Greg Murphy this morning and what he was saying and everything. And there's one thing that really sticks out to me that I hear from a lot of Republicans right now, and it's the Republican talking points that's always been there, which is fiscal responsibility and how we need to do something about this crippling debt that we have. But what I don't understand is just a couple of weeks ago, he voted to pass a budget bill that's going to drastically increase the debt. How do those two jive with each other? It sounds like he's talking the talk, but they're not walking the walk. Am I confused in some way?
I'm confused too, and that's one of the things that I had on my list this morning, and he got right on by me. But I haven't given up on it, and I will be asking that question again. I don't like the way the budget's been handled or mishandled. I don't like it. It just to just because the president says it's a cool thing to do, I'm not that jazzed about it.
What they're doing don't match the rhetoric that they're spewing. And I don't mean to put it in such a negative way, but I mean, that's just the way it comes to mind, is that like I say, they talk, they don't seem to be walking the walk.
I'll be honest with you, Steve. This, Chris, I'll be honest with you. I personally liked what Elon did in his short time of finding all this wasted spending money.
But
Now
now
we're
going to turn it around.
we wasted that time and that effort.
I mean,
That's what it looks like to me.
I mean, Steve, you're right. It doesn't at this moment. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I think I would agree with you to a certain extent with Elon and Doge, but I think that we actually missed the opportunity. We had an opportunity to go through and really intelligently try and cut this budget. And I don't believe that's what they did. I believe they just went in there and made a bunch of noise and cut a bunch of stuff, but didn't really know what they were cutting. And to back that up, they're trying to rehire a lot of the people that got fired now. And that's a clear sign that they made a mistake. But like I say, it just seems like that they the Republican Party almost ain't the Republican Party anymore, guys. They still have the talking points, and they still say they believe in the things we've always believed in, but they're not. Their actions are not coinciding with those talking points anymore. So, from my point of view, maybe y'all see it differently, but I'm having a hard time trying to figure out how to make sense out of what they're doing.
Yeah. They're not being, here's my thought. They're not stubborn like good, hard-headed legislators, whether they're Democrats or Republicans should be. They're passing a bill so they can get it through, get it over. We're done with the budget now. We don't have to worry about it. Everything's fine. We each make concessions. We agree that this is the way it should be done. And we're all going to sing Kumbaya, and maybe we can get on with the rest of the business at hand. No. The budget is the rest of the business at hand. It incorporates everything that's done in this country, everything that the federal government does in this country, which much of it is crammed down our throats. Everything depends upon the budget. There's nothing that happens in D.C. that doesn't depend upon the workings of the budget, right? They can't buy paper clips. They can't have a flush toilet without the budget saying they can have it.
Well, and I'll tell you something else that bothers me, guys, and I don't know how y'all feel about it, but Rayford, you and I agreed last year around this time that these big omnibus bills or whatever, that all-inclusive, I don't like them.
I don't like
you may comment that you didn't like it either because it's too easy to hide pork.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
I'll guarantee you right now, this bill that they got, that they pushed through so fast and it's so big, it's full of pork. It's bound to be, man. That's how they get everybody to vote for something like that.
Pork. I'm gonna do a definition here. Pork to me is a fine meat. Fat around the pork. There's a lot of fat because they fatten up the pigs out there so they can get more money for them. That's where the weight is in the fat, not in the meat, right? The fat that's in that bill is the problem, and they need to cut it. It needs to be trimmed. They need a good butcher. Well, that would be a good term. Right. I want to be the butcher.
But you don't want somebody to go in there and start trimming the fat to where you're only left with a Tic Tac for a pork chop. Yeah. So, you can be careless in that. Well, you can be careless in that. But,
well, if you trim it to the point that the farmers are not going to get paid for the fat, the people who raise those pigs, the farmers are going to put those pigs out there and do a little free ranging. They're not going to feed them nothing but fattening food before they send them to the market. They're going to get rid of some of that weight.
Okay. So let me just mention something, Steve. So 2 years ago, I read the North Carolina budget, page for page, and there was more pork spending in there than you can imagine.
It's scary.
And I had this conversation with someone last night because we were talking about rates across America, which I'll talk till probably I'm gone somewhere. But
Chris,
we sent a letter to someone that's connected with the VA up in DC. That's on one of the committees, And they said, and I quote, "We don't have any money for that."
Mm.
And the first thing I said is, I guarantee if it was something that was deep in his heart, there's pork money there.
Yeah.
It's what they want.
Yeah,
What-
and
Sure
that's kind of what I'm saying too. I mean, guys, we've all heard the rhetoric over the last 4 years about how the Democratic spending was out of control, and that was a valid conversation to have. That we were spending lots of money,
Mm-hmm.
but now they turn right around and want to spend more than everybody spent. Now they got the credit card, and it just don't make sense. That they sit here and they stand on the soapbox and preach to us about one thing, and then they turn around and do the exact opposite. At some point, if I feel like if we don't hold them accountable for that double talk, that it's going to consume us. We're going to be their subjects. They're not going to serve us. We're going to serve them. And I feel like we ain't really far from that at this point.
I'm disappointed in a whole lot of things, and I don't know how Dr. Murphy can justify voting for the bill, except that everybody else was doing it, and this is the way to get through it. We're not going to have any other way, any other outcome. Yes, I can stand here and stand my ground. I will say that a guy named Walter Jones would have done just that because he was one hard-headed individual, and I say that happily.
Well,
Yes.
I mean, honestly, does anybody in America vote for somebody to go up there and just get along the best they can?
Yep,
And, regardless, I mean, nobody votes for that. Everybody votes for somebody to go fight for them.
that's what we
And
want.
then these politicians get up there and they're like, oh, well, we're just trying to get along just to move it along and make all these concessions.
Well,
I don't know. Like, it really frustrates me, guys. It really does.
Steve, have you ever looked, if you want to, just for kicks and giggles, Google these politicians up there and see what their careers are outside of being a
Right.
politician. They're doctors, they're lawyers, they're businessmen. There's one radio disc jockey, believe it or not. But most of them have money. And those that have money are going to keep getting money.
Mhm.
And that's why they're in office so long.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I mean, I believe to a certain extent that a politician is just a reflection of the voters from where they come from. Just like with Nancy Pelosi. I'm on the fence about her. There's things from a political standpoint I don't like, but then there's also that she's a very accomplished woman and she broke a lot of glass ceilings. And so there's some things that I commend her for as well. But that being said, even if she retired today, the people from her district are most likely going to vote for somebody similar and send them right back to Washington. So her leaving, I don't know that it's going to change much.
I would agree with you, generally speaking, and that may be the case in California. I would think that with the people, all the rhetoric about her, the reason she's reelected, has been reelected and reelected, she's got a name that's recognizable. We know that works. People will criticize individuals like Pelosi, but my God, you know what? She's a comfortable shoe, maybe a little worn, but okay, I know what I'm getting here. At least I know what I'm getting. I don't know about Chris. He may be a great guy, but I just don't know. But when she's not in the picture, Chris, well, his ideas seem to be pretty good, and there's nobody else out there with any ideas that I think are any better. Why don't we give him a chance? That's the reason that people keep getting reelected, because they're comfortable old shoes.
So,
And I would agree with that.
And I hate it.
But it also requires that the people still feel aligned with that politician and their beliefs. If that politician takes a drastic right turn, we've seen that, seen politicians suffer because of that as well.
Uh-huh.
So Steve, let me ask you this, because there's talk of the governor of California maybe throwing his hat into the presidential election, and what's going on right now out in California, and things. What's your opinion of him?
once again, I'm on the fence. I don't agree with everything he says, but there's some things he said that surprise me that a California governor feels that way. He has came out and said that he's against trans men in women's sports. I really didn't expect that from a California governor.
Mm.
You know, I agree with that. To a certain extent, there are some sports that are already co-ed. So maybe those sports are less, you know, impacted by it.
If they're
But-
co-ed, there's no big deal, one way or the other, right?
No, not
and
cool.
that's what I say. You know, some sports are already that way. Like wrestling is one of them. My son wrestled in middle school and high school, and honestly, I thought it was a little weird.
He was
that the
wrestling a
girls were
girl?
allowed to be.
Wrestle.
That he was wrestling a girl.
Really?
You know,
I missed out on that sport.
It's
I'm sure
they're doing
you've
a
had
lot in
your
the high schools
times.
right now.
Yeah.
And some of
and,
that,
like I said, they found a way to make it work, and it don't seem to be a problem with it. You know, but it was odd to me. I'm not gonna lie. But anyway, as far as Gavin Newsom, with Gavin Newsom, I think that the Republican Party right now they are lifting him up. They are putting him in the spotlight, putting him in the news. They're giving him that name recognition that you talk about so much. You know, even though they're trying to paint him in a negative light, they're still putting him in the light. You know, so I think it's kind of a part of him being running for president, putting his name in the hat, might be because they have elevated him. You know, it also draws anti-Republican contributors to that side. You know, every yin has a yang. So you know, there's effects that go both ways.
Yeah.
But honestly, as a president, I mean, I ain't gonna say he would be the worst one, you know, we ever had. I don't really know. I don't know what kind of president he would be. He's, you know, a little left and right, depending on what subject you talk about. Honestly, if I was going to be able to pick the Democrat candidate, I think the top of the ticket instead of vice president, I think they would have done better.
Part of that I agree
They wouldn't have
with.
done any
Yeah.
worse than they did. I will tell you that.
Yes.
Well,
I mean, my God, what was it? She had her ratings are lower than Biden's.
They did
It's
not
like,
make a good.
really?
Right.
They
right.
did not make a good couple. No.
no.
No, but his numbers were really good considering who his running mate was.
Oh, absolutely.
And you
Name
know,
recognition?
and
You'd never heard of him before then, had you?
Nope.
no, not real. Well, I'd heard a little bit about him watching, you know, like C-SPAN and stuff like that. I'm a geek for things like that. But no, you didn't really know him like you do now, of course. You know, but yeah, I would rather see out of the two of them. I'd rather see him be the one than Newsom, honestly.
Yep.
You know, but Newsom's very charismatic. I wouldn't be surprised if he was the one.
No.
Yeah. But I do think that the Democratic Party is on this kick of wanting to have the first female president.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
They need to let that go.
At
They need to let that go.
any
That don't need to be
cost.
a factor. You know, I'd like to see the first woman president. I think it would be a good thing as well. But that don't need to be the deciding factor on who you run.
First, I want a capable president, and if it happens to be a lumpy president, it's okay. If it's a man, it's okay. I don't care.
One last thing I would say since we're on the Gavin Newsom thing and what's going on in California, that's another situation where I don't quite understand the talk versus the actions. After January 6th, Trump said he did not send the National Guard in because the governor had to make that request, and it was illegal for the president to do that without the governor requesting it.
There was no
Now, that's a
governor.
quote
There was no governor in Washington.
I know there wasn't. I get that. I understand. I'm just telling you what he said.
Mhm.
And now, what changed? How did the law change between then and now? That's what confuses me. You know, if that's
Washington is under a lot of federal law. We understand that, right? They got a large contingent of federal police officers there.
mhm.
Other than the Metro cops, everything else is a federal. They, by all rights, should have had enough people on hand. If they didn't have them in advance. They should have known this. They should have figured this out. They should have had people on hand there at that time. Because the federal government can pull police officers from every state in the country if they want to, because they're federal agents. In California, we had federal troops there. We had the federal police officers there doing a job. And they were attacked when they were doing their job. They were outnumbered. In Washington, D.C., all they had to do was call in all the federal cops that were available in a couple of states. They could have been there. They could have handled that. They could have controlled it, but they had to do it in advance. They were not called in advance.
I understand the facts of the situation, right? And I don't disagree with you there. What I'm pointing out is that his comments were that to send the National Guard in without the governor's approval was illegal. Now, I ain't talking about the justifications for it or anything like that. He said it was against the law. What changed to make it not against the law now?
Well,
that's kind of what confuses me.
I'll have to go back and reread and find out if that's what he said. I do not recall exactly what he said.
I got you.
I
looked it up. I looked it up since this happened just to make sure.
He is smart enough to know, he was smart enough then to know that there is no governor to call in the troops, the National Guard. That would be the president.
I fully understand the ignorance of his statement. It was his statement. That's why. And I'm just saying, can you understand how that's confusing? That he makes a statement saying that it's illegal.
Again, I'm going to have to look it up. I do not recall, so I cannot comment on that.
And I fully understand. Please look it up. I had to look it up too to make sure that that's what he said, because I didn't want to say it and it not be true. Okay. But that's kind of where I'm at. Is that the talk don't match the walk. Mm-hmm.
Now, would you say, just asking you, I'm not going to say I assume you would agree with me, but would you say that at that time did say that, and we acknowledge, or he acknowledges that that was a stupid mistake, would he not make the same mistake again by not calling out the troops to take care of the problem in L.A.? If you walk across a bridge and the bridge is in bad shape and you walk across the bridge anyway and things happen, would you not walk across that bridge in the future if you had the chance to redo it or to do it again, cross another bridge that was in bad shape? Would you make the same mistake twice?
I understand your logic.
Uh-huh.
I understand your logic, but to not acknowledge that you're doing a 180 on what you said in the past, that's what kind of confuses me, or makes me just scratch my head trying to figure out what's going on.
Has he been asked about that, Steve?
Has anybody asked him directly? Because I haven't heard one or the other.
No, I haven't either. That's what I was just curious.
Actually, what the part that's confusing is when this first happened, when he first called the National Guard, they actually lied and said Gavin Newsom asked him to do it. So I don't know if that was a lie or they just got confused or what happened, how that got,
Why would
confused.
Gavin Newsom ask him to do it? Gavin Newsom could he can call out the guard by himself.
They had, Gavin Newsom said I watched the interview with him. He said they had a 20-minute phone call and the president wanted to talk about everything but Los Angeles and never once brought up anything about the National Guard. And then after that phone call, he said on the phone call, Gavin Newsom asked him to bring the National Guard in. And now we know that's most likely not the case, but,
okay.
If you were looking at through this, through very, critical glasses, you would say, well, if they lied to try and make it legal, they knew it was illegal. And I don't know that's the case, but that's a human assumption right there.
The president,
any criminal.
The president can call out the National Guard to protect federal troops or federal law enforcement.
Right.
In federal buildings.
I don't think you're supposed to be able to federalize California's National Guard.
Go ahead and take a look.
without the governor. I'll look into that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
I
he-
researched
wasn't
that
it
too.
Without,
and
without
you're right,
declaring the
Nathan.
Insurrection Act is the only thing that gives them power, I thought.
Hopefully we can talk about it again tomorrow, but I'm just curious, the federal building, the where the detainees were being housed.
Federal buildings, federal officers, you can call out, the president can call out the National Guard of any state's National Guard, because all National Guards belong to a state, right? You've got reserve officers, reserve army and whatever. They could be called up, but generally the National Guard is the one you call out because they're prepared to do it.
Okay, I'm gonna do some more research on
Okay.
it because before I make a concrete stance on that. But yeah, that's not what my understanding was up to this point.
Well,
About
that's all
and
the
even-
information coming out over the weekend and
even
yesterday.
Trump. Even Trump at one time said that was the case. So I mean, I don't know. I'll have to look into it a little bit more.
I think I will too, Steve. Maybe
I'll
we'll
go
talk
with
about
Steve.
it tomorrow.
Yep.
You guys
Yeah.
too. Have a blessed day.
Bye.
Have a blessed day.
They are apparently pulling a lot of records. ICE is revealing a lot of records for those those people,
Yes.
those illegals that they have arrested,
Mhm.
that have been arrested, and the records that these bad people have are bad. They
Yeah.
have been arresting bad people, even though they're illegal aliens. They've got bad records, and those protesters, the rioters, want them freed.
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah.
Do they want them to open up the county jail and the state prisons so they can just release everybody up there too? Because they're bad people, or are they just selective? In other words, are they racially motivated to just release the illegals?
What's going to get me on TV?
Make the most smoke with whatever you can.
There you go.
Well, we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but maybe tomorrow we'll get a chance to talk about this big feud between Roddy Gaines and Simone Biles. It's just, I mean, it started with, Roddy Gaines. She is a 12-time NCAA All-American swimmer.
Mhm.
And she was speaking out on her ex, formerly Twitter, feud with Olympic gymnast Simone Biles over transgender athletes competing in women's sports. And it has got to be a cat fight. The social media argument began on Friday after Gaines,
Are they
Roddy
both
Gaines,
cats?
she called out a Minnesota high school whose softball team won a state championship after playing with a transgender pitcher. Gaines, who noted that she was not surprised comments were turned off the high school's post, said, to be expected when your star player is a boy. So then Simone Biles rebuked Gaines, saying she was truly sick and a sore loser for her comment, suggesting that she should be uplifting transgender athletes. And you remember Roddy Gaines was the one that, didn't she lose a swim meet to a biological male?
Mhm.
And that's when all that stuff started. But yeah, it's a big cat fight going on right now between the two of them. I'm like, wow.
I make better cat sounds than you do.
Oh, I could give you a run for your money.
No, I got 2 cats now.
No, I used to sit in a Chinese restaurant and do that. We have lost our minds.
You're live and local, maybe. Real talk, maybe not. We're always awake, but we probably need to go take a nap.
Have a great day.
I gotta go pick up my Milky Sport powder.
Who do we have tomorrow? We got Dr. Rosemary
We got
Stein.
Dr. Rose, and didn't we have?
We've got retired police chief Mike Canero on Thursday.
Yeah, and our
And our man
one
about
and only
town.
Chris Miller.
Yeah,
on
we'll have
Thursday.
time for Miller on Thursday. The other T word.
Yes.
So,
I'm going to do some research and then, hey, Steve, we can talk to Steve about this.
yeah,
Thanks.
you
Well, I
do the
had
research.
all that Title 12.
Get me straight.
pulled up.
You be the moderator here.
I had Article 32 under the
I have a
Armed
headache.
Services,
My computers
pulled
don't work.
up. Yeah, there's a lot there, and technically the president can do it. And my thoughts is, if California is now complaining they didn't need the help, then they need to take a look at actually what's going on.
They're after population control.
Yeah.
What do you think? Is that perfect for
That'll
my?
do it.
That's for
And
my
you know
computer.
what? if I was governor,
Got to take care of it.
if I was governor, I'd be saying, bring them all, send them all.
You know why you can't get away with carrying this thing around with you?
Like it is.
It's
Uh-huh.
just-
You could probably.
That's it.
Because it's a knife.
Rayford
Somebody was pretty
and
cool in making that,
his
you know what?
toys.
Hey, It's got some.
People give me the weirdest stuff, don't they? I like it.
It's neat.
Oh
It's a
no.
little round, but a nice little blade in it if you ever need one. You can't get it on an airplane for either reason because it looks like a bullet, was a bullet, can be a bullet, and it's got a blade in it. Jesus.
It's like those shoes you can push a button and little skates pop out,
Yeah.
little wheels, and you can just wheel all around. I bet you've got a pair of those too, don't you?
Oh no, I'd fall. My dogs would knock me over and catch
Okay.
Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you in the
Everybody
morning.
take care.
Bye.